Right, we got us a Cougar Light in here. Cougar Light. So you can see the scaffold is over here. We don't have anything set up yet. We got some problems with the back wall. So we want to see what that's all about. So all we're doing right now, get out of the way. Get out of the way. I don't know if you can press on that wall. There you go. Squish, squish, squish. So we got some issues here. So we're just taking everything apart. We're going to take it all apart and we'll have to skin this off. We got to see what's underneath it. Obviously, I'm guessing there's probably something rotted in there. So we shall address it and we will keep you updated. But that's where we are already with our Cougar by Keystone. Oh, we all know the quality they put out. You probably just have to put a Band-Aid on this little one. Back wall all removed. So that puffing that we had when we were pushing right here, it was because there is no glue. They did not glue the back panel on. Right here, there's back panel. This is Azdel right here. This material is Azdel. It's a composite. So, you know, I keep saying that these companies do things that are beneficial to them, not to you, really. Now, they'll promote this as beneficial to you, but really the reason why they do it is for them because it's all prepped already and they just put it on and then they put the screws up on here, window in, a few lights, ladder. That's the only thing that holds it on. But it really should be glued on there because these want a rack. So what sheathing does, which is what this would be, a panel, what it does is it stifles shear factor. Shear factor is this way, laterally. Tensile is up and down, okay? So you want to try to stifle that. You don't want it to keep moving and flexing because when it does, it's going to break what I would say a weld. You want to call that a weld, and that's a little booger. There's nothing right here. Nothing right here. No welds there at all. This is Keystone. Got one here though. That's not bad. That's it. So when you oppose this force this way and get this to kind of flex this way, it's going to break that weld. Okay? It'll break that weld. That's how they come apart. If you were to take this piece right here and fold it back into itself, that weld is going to break. So all that racking going in, there's really not that strength there. The strength would need to be on this side to rack that way. If it racks that way, then you need it there, okay? So, and when you glue it, that absorbs the shock. It acts as basically a buffer to absorb it. So you can see here, this is for the light. We'll get that re-secured in there. But this is a crappy job they do. But anything they do is to their benefit, not yours. You know, you have to get that in your head. So, is this all Azdel in here? See that? That's not Azdel. This is Luan. This is Luan in here. That's Azdel. So when they tell you, oh, we got Azdel on there. Yeah, just on the back wall and maybe even on the front. This whole side wall, that's not Azdel. That's all Luan. It's the same as it is. They only do that because they can prep it easier for themselves and store it and you don't have any issues with it. And then they can go, hey, put that back wall on, pow. And that's all they do. Hang it, screw it on, screw everything in, and that's it. So again, we're going to glue it all on there. We're going to get it right. The other thing I'm looking at, I don't know if you can see it. Well, look at that truss. That truss is kicked out this way. Now that it's kicked out that way, if you look at the top of it, looks like the roofing is even. So evidently the roof is just a shade too long and they just kick that over there instead of straight. That's got to be nice and straight. So we got to straighten that mess out too. So we'll get that, glue this on, and we'll try and get it back on there. This is just the underbelly, the wrap all the way up underneath here. It really doesn't need to come up that far. We may kind of shave it down a little bit so we have more glue. You know, that's what I'd like to see. A little more glue. We'll get this in here. But otherwise, that's what it is. That's Keystone for you. Get it built, get it out, get it sold. They don't care. So, alrighty. We shall show you what we got going on. One of the things that we do here, you can see we put cardboard on here. We don't want to get any butyl or any trash that may be on the floor on his steps. And then we got this whole, all this is all padded. We got pads, moving furniture pads on everything in there. So we want to protect the coach. It's just something we do here. You know, I watch a lot of guys on YouTube. They don't do any of that. We even put it up on the stairs. See? We want to make sure we don't have anything on there. You take a little bit of time to make sure the coaches are protected. We'll end up putting another piece up there, much like we have on here. You can see that gray piece that's hanging down. That's just a protective sheet so we don't get anything on the side of the coach either. We'll end up putting that up on there as well. So, but that's what they're working on, this old Keystone right here.
Yeah, that was.
All right, so this is really wet right here. We pulled all that underbelly. I told you I wanted to cut it down because I want to get glue down there. And well, you can see, that's wet. So we're going to see how bad it is. We had a piece of, where'd that chunk come out of? Is that the bottom for the ladder? That was a piece of the ladder. That's what the ladder mounted. I'm wondering if that propagated it and just kind of wicked all the way down there. That could happen. So,
Come from that corner out there.
That's what it's looking like. But that's dry. So it had to have come. It had to have come from the board. It had to have come from that board that was in here for the ladder. That's where you mount the ladder. So it looks like that wasn't sealed. Went down, rotted that out. I'm gonna let that dry. That's just the wall sheathing. So if I can get that dry and not rotted, that is obviously rotted. Then I won't poke that bare. And then we'll see what else is wrong. And what was up there?
Oh, in this corner where that trim is, that's, you can just tell that's been compromised.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really soft and punky. And
Yeah, okay. Soft and punky. You can actually see the coloration difference. That's dry. Oh, that's wet. Alright. Well, onward and upward. Let's see what we're going to do here. We'll get a fan on it. We'll see what happens. Let's see how good.
Yeah, the bottom's sealed good.
Alright. We'll
The
check it
bottom
out.
looks good underneath.
Oh, alright.
Yeah,
That's had to have been.
so it
Okay,
can't
that's what he was checking. He was checking underneath there to see if there was any way it could have splashed up or whatever.
No,
But it could have come down the corner mold
I think
because
so.
this is kind of punky a little bit right here.
I think it's come down the-
That is, so it could have come down the corner mold and just kind of sat in here and then got wicked up. That's more than likely what happens. So the grain will just suck it up like a sponge, the grain of the wood. So let's get it dried out. We'll see. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so this is dry. Sounds good. It's just got a little, it was well wet. So we dried it out, but just to add some more strength, we're going to glue ISO right to it, just to make sure it's got a little strength to it. We only need to do about yay much. We don't need to do the whole thing. These are just some scrap pieces we had. Once we get that on, we can glue the wall back on. They do use a little glue here. This is a urethane type. Not really, it works really well in a lot of applications, but what happens, it tends to get dry, see? So it doesn't have the ability to act like a buffer like the urethane would. The urethane would have more flex than this would for sure, and or a polyether, which is what we use, but that's another story for another video, if I ever do one. That's why I don't like it, because it just crumbles apart. Now in certain applications I use it, of course, but you got to know where you're using it. In this case, they're trying to use it to stop racking. That probably wouldn't be an optimal decision right there. You would use something that would have, like you said, the ability to flex, and that doesn't. So take a note, Keystone. I think I've got about, what, a couple hundred videos on here for Keystone to take notes on. We straightened that back out, we leaned it back in. Don't know what caused it. Obviously it was a bad installation, and we'll address all that decking's coming off anyways. Look how much of a lip is hanging off of that thing. Wow, that's pretty bad. So, all right, well, let me get this whole project going here, and we get the wall back on, and then glue it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna glue everything. I'm gonna use another product, and we're not gonna use a foam. See, looks so much better. Adds a little strength. So you're gonna say, hey, you just said not to use foam adhesive. Right in there. We're using that just to bond to the sheathing. We're not gonna use it on the strut supports framing. We're not going to do that. The other reason why I want to put glue this is, like I was telling you, these aren't even welded that well. They can't weld this really good. I'm surprised that even come out as well as it did. But this alloy got a hole right there. That's what happens, is it burns through. You burn a hole through it. It's cheap. That's all it is. It's just cheap stuff. This isn't, people think, I like aluminum frames. Boy, that's top quality. That's good aluminum now. Well, it's not. You can almost bend this with your fingers. I mean, really, it is that cheap. This isn't like aircraft aluminum or anything. No, don't be misled that way. That's for sure. They're gonna put the cheap shit on there that'll pass just so it don't fall apart on the interstate. It's about all they do. So, okay, so now that we got that, we're gonna glue it, and we'll obviously put the insulation back, put the wall back on, we'd be done. Now you can see we got all that glue right behind there. They already got it all glued up before I could get over here and get a video. But it's glued on there. That's the show.
You get it from the top.
Huh?
You can go up there and get it from the top.
Huh. Can you see it from there yet?
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yeah.
There it is. Oh, there you go. Just go down there. Alrighty, we're making progress here. Obviously got it all opened up. And then what we're looking for, these pieces are, there's metal here, that tubing, that's called a ferrule. And they don't ever protect these wires, so we put these little red heads in here. So when I say they won't put in one more red cent into your coach, this is it. Because that's about all they are, is a penny, like literally. So, on residential and commercial applications, it's code, but they don't have any codes to follow. And what happens is, as the coach is moving, it starts to compromise the sheathing on the wire. So we like to check everything out to make sure everything's okay. We check the wires out, and then we obviously put the bushings in and so forth. So we do that because I don't want somebody to, if we don't check it, customer drives wherever, thing hits a couple more bumps, that's the end of that wire, goes to turn a light switch or whatever on, and then nothing works. We think the first person he's gonna call is me. He's gonna say, put a screw through a wire. So that's why we check all this. This is common. We do that almost on every single coach that we open up. It's a shame, that's just the way they do it. But you can see they got these type of metal trusses on here, and then this one just has some surface rust. That's not the end of the world. We're gonna put some plywood in on this one, because we're going to put a gutter on the back so all that water would get away from the coach when we put it on. So then the other thing we do, same thing with the ductwork. They run the wires over there and it's just foam, and they dig holes in it. So we put little plates and then tape them on there and tape the wires to it so they don't keep rubbing against there. You know, you don't want to have a hole up on your ductwork, because if you have a hole there, what are you going to do? You have to take sealant out, you have to take the roof off. Something's got to come apart for you to get at it, right? So that's what we do, check all the tape, make sure it's all taped up properly. But this is what I'm talking about here. So we just put these little black piece of scrap aluminum we had. All we're trying to do is just protect the foam, because like I said, it'll dig into it and make all these holes in it. So that's about it. Same thing over here, and you got another ferrule right here. So let's see. You see that? Let's see if I can get you to see that right here. That's, come on, focus back. That is from this piece of pipe. All I needed was this piece of plastic in here. They don't care, but eventually that's going to go on through. Right now it's just affecting the sheathing. So that's why we put them in. We don't want to have future problems. So that's why we do it. And then other than that, we're about ready to rock and roll here and get this thing, some sheathing on it, get some plywood on it. We took up all the crappy OSB. It's all right there. We're just going to junk it, and I'll put on BC grade plywood. I'm not really a fan of OSB. I think on some of the other videos I've had to use them, but that was when all that COVID baloney was going on and we couldn't get any materials. So I try to shy away from that for sure. Uh-oh, we got somebody showing up. All right, well, let's get to work on this. All right, so we've got obviously all new decking up there. What we're doing right here is gluing down the next sheet. They're all glued. You can actually see some of the glue bumping up right there. So get them all glued, screwed, and got just this one here and one more left. After that, we can start getting the roof on, getting some roofing on here. It looks good. I like the plywood much better than I like that OSB. So we're gonna have to probably put this in 2 sheets. So when you look at the profile of this roof, see if I can show you. And the reflections are real similar. So the sabers, it goes like this, then it drops off, it starts heading down. And when you come around the front here, you step out of the way, you can see it tears down that way, then it's got camber. You're not going to get the roofing to do all that dancing. It doesn't like it. It'll do 2-dimension, and you can distress it a little bit. So we'll have to put one sheet up here, whatever, maybe about 54 inches or so. The next one will come over and we'll heat weld that together, and the rest of it should carry. That's the way we've had to do the other ones. Maybe might have to actually put 3 on this one, so I'll have to look at it. Sometimes you come around here because it flattens out, and then it flattens out again. So I think on the reflections, I think I did 3. It's got the same profile. I think it is a reflection just by a different name. But that's where we are so far. All right, so what we got here, you can see all the decking is down. We put our protective strips on here, put all those there. Also made a nice shoulder edge here. With that's some metal that I folded up, broke up, and that's going to protect the roofing from the siding as it rolls over. You know, you get that corner when the coach kind of flexes and moves, it's not going to chafe the main membrane. So all we're going to do now is roll it over. Then we did this in 3 sections, like we do the reflections, sabers, and then obviously there's a Cougar. So the way that roof profile is, you can kind of see how it goes up, then it goes around. This roof membrane, this is a commercial grade. This isn't your crappy RV stuff. So it doesn't like to do all that dancing around. So this coach has camber going this way, obviously going up. So then you get up on that level and it's going this way, and then it'll go down, it's still got camber. The membrane will lay 2-dimensionally, it doesn't want to lay 3-dimensionally. So you're not going to get it all without having a bubble, without having issues with it. So we do it in 3 sections, then we heat weld it all back together. So it just lays better. All right, let's get rolled out and we shall move forward with the all right, we're all done with our Cougar. January 24. So we put that on there as a marker so we can monitor the roof when it comes back for inspections. And also if the customer wanted to sell the coach, we do transferable warranties. We don't need anybody trying to talk you down on a roof. You know, these are notorious, not these roofs, but RV roofs in general are notorious for leaking. A lot of people, first thing they do, hey, we're going to have to talk you down. Well, hey, it's still under warranty. It was just put on January 24. So I want to thank the customer for bringing the coach to us. We appreciate the work. And then this roof system is what's called TPO. It's thermoplastic. And everything you see, these are called curbs. That vent is sitting on a curb. Some people call them risers. Some people call them boxes, but you know, the technical term or the appropriate term in the commercial roof industry is curbs. I custom make all these curbs, all of them, everything on this roof I custom make. So this is exactly a commercial roof. It's exactly a commercial roof, except it's scaled down to have, you know, so it functions properly on an RV. That's what I did. But the roof system in itself, the membrane is a 60 mil commercial grade roof. It's a reinforced membrane. And I'll show you a piece of that. Actually, I got a piece here. See if you can see those little squares in there. Those little squares, there's a mesh built into this. And that little mesh is what gives it its strength. It's like a screen built into it. And I offer 3 different colors, so there's all our information. I got the tan, I got the gray, and obviously the white. So those are standard colors. You can get some other specialty colors, they're just more expensive. But everything again on here, all these boots, these wiggle quite a bit when you walk up here. A lot of people know that. And that's generally where you get some of your damage. This came all the way up here, that corner mold, come all the way up over here. And then you had another piece on the top, and that creates this little cavity here, and I want to get rid of that. So we put a gutter on the back of this. You can see it right here. But I put a gutter on the back so the water just, boom, get off the roof. I want everything off the roof. I don't want it sitting on the roof. This is filled with a special sealer that stays flexible all the time. It's a great product. It's again, it'll stay that way. It doesn't harden up. It always stays flexible. So again, everything's all been heat welded in here, so you don't have any of the caulking issues like they want you to do on your typical RV roof. Get up there and put more on. And all of these curbs, you can see I got stands in the back. That gives the air conditioner some balance. But all these curbs that I build, they all have basically counterflash right here. And that's so when the water starts rushing across the roof, it can't jump and start making basically an erosion effect. We don't want that to happen. So it'll hit up underneath here and it'll get diverted around. That's how it works. And again, all this is all heat welded. All this is all heat welded all the way around. So this is a solar fan. This is an intake. And then I got plumbing right next to it. Replace the skylight lens, but especially now with the mornings being really cold, you may get some frost on these. Then the sun comes up, it's going to evaporate the frost off of the lens. But on the inside of this lens, that frost, it's not going to be able to get evaporated off. Basically, it's going to turn into condensation. It'll trickle down, either get into the curb, or if the curb wasn't here, then it'll get into the roof deck of the coach the way they normally do them. They just screw them down to the roof deck. So what'll happen is the roof deck will wick it up, and each time it does that, that's known as dry rot, because it's starting rotting out or rotted out, but it'll just dry out. But it's still rot nonetheless, and then eventually you get a few more droplets, a few more every time it happens, and then until it can't hold any more water, and then these come loose, and you start seeing these drips, and you're like, where are these drips coming from? You go up here, I've sealed that thing 100 times, brought it to the shop, did this. That's what it is. It's basically it's condensation that's coming off of your skylight lens. It's just part of physics. So what I did was I designed a ventilation system. So this is an intake, and it's got ductwork that runs underneath the roof into this cavity right here, underneath into that little porthole that they cut out. There's another one that runs underneath here, and then when the sun comes up to evaporate this off, that kicks on, and it keeps that constant air going, just constant air going, constant air going. It'll keep it dry. I'm trying to keep it dry. I want that moisture to get pulled out before it gets sucked up. That's the whole scope of it. So that being said, I mean, I don't warranty skylight lenses. I can't warranty any of that. So, obviously I don't warranty the vent. I don't do that either. The other thing we had to do with this particular coach is, I was telling you earlier, the angle of this coach, it comes this way, then drops down to the back, and then the front over here, it has a real sharp turnabout as well. So we have 3 pieces, and that's all heat welded all the way across over there, just like this one is. And you can kind of see some of the discoloration up in there, and that's how much penetration and heat we got. But we weld this back 4 inches, and on a commercial level, generally that's 3 inches. So we went back an extra inch to make sure, it is nice and solid. So once we got this all down, everything is all sealed. You can see the skylights, I do not put screws in these. So I don't do that on purpose, because I've had a lot of issues with skylights. It doesn't matter what brand you buy. It just, when you put a screw in here, and now in the summertime it's going to expand, and now it's pushing against that screw. So now you get a thunder shower, and the thunder shower hits it, now it contracts it, and it's pulling against the screw, and you end up getting these little fractures. A lot of times you'll see these little fractures here. So we just we glue them down. That's fully adhered. It's not coming off, but it will expand and contract with the skylight. So that's why I don't use any caulking, any screws in them. We stopped that a long time ago. Then the other thing we get is 2 strikes of caulking on the top here. So we glue this on the gutter, that gets glued on. All of the screws underneath that are all sealed. Every single screw is sealed like a little grommet. And then we put 2 strikes of caulking on here. So you'll have some, when we do put the gutter on, push it against there and put the screws in, we get some product that burps up, we strike it down, then we go back and we put a strike over it. When that cures, then we put yet another strike over it. So the purpose of that, if you've ever used a caulking gun and you start squeezing along, with the trigger, and you hear it pop and crackle, you just injected an air bubble. And when you inject an air bubble, the way these rack, twist, and flex, it could be a problem. It could be a potential leak. So my thought is, what are the chances of having one air bubble land on top of another? So that's why I give it 2 strikes on here. Then we did replace all this insert trim. I don't like the insert trim that they use at the RV industry. They're pretty cheap. So I replaced it. I'll show you a piece here in a minute. Let's see what else I got. Let's see if I can find a piece. And I'll find, if I don't, I'll fetch. Oh, there it is right there. So I got it right here on my dirty shelf. Alright, so this is what the industry uses right here. So it just slides in and out. That's what it uses right there. That's industry standard, which is pretty bad. I didn't know how they can use standard in that whole scope of crappy work they do, but they do call it a standard. It's a very, very low standard, but So anyhow, water can still get down inside there, and I don't like that. So this one has grooves in it, and you can see it goes and fits into the track, fits inside that slot. And I like that because now the water will come around and it'll burp around, and then it just drip into the gutter, right? You can see that right there. So we don't sell anything here. We're just a service center. So I don't know where you could buy this, but I have to buy, literally, I buy 2 miles of it at a time. So I've got thousands of dollars into just buying that one product for that. And then, you know, that's one color, and you still get another $4 grand or so for the other color. So, but it's just a better product, and I like it. So that's why I put them on and swap them all out. We did the back wall, got that all squared away. And again, we ran all new insert trim on it. Put the gutter on the back like I just showed you. So the warranty on the roof system is 20 years. That's the material. That's the actual roofing material, that white that you see. That is typical with any industry. They're going to give you a warranty based on the material. They don't know who's installing it. So since they don't know who's installing it, then they can't extend a warranty, because you can't give a warranty on someone else's work. You don't know who they are, right? So all that said, we offer what we call a courtesy warranty. And I like to see this coach come back in 60 days for an initial inspection, because it's new, it's fresh. I do show customers how to do inspections when they come to pick up their coaches, but I would like to get my hands on it if I can for that initial inspection. And then after that, they come back for their the following year. So we'll say they come back in 2 months, right? So now it'll be in January. They come back in March, and we do the initial inspection. They'll get a warranty from March 24 to March 25, right? And then they come back in 25, they'll have a warranty from 25 to 26, 26, 27, you get the idea. So we do that for 20 years. That's not a problem. But I do want to see these back, because I want to inspect them. If I get another Cougar in here, which I've had, these Cougars, the other one's going to flex, twist, and rack differently than this one. It's just physics. It's the way it is. I want to make sure we're addressing all the problems or concerns with this Cougar. So all that said, bring them back. And some folks, they don't bring them back. And if they don't bring them back and we find something that could have been remedied real easy, maybe it's racking and twisting, and it twists so much that, it did breach the caulking, and that caulking needed to be redone a little bit, but no one caught it. And then it caused all this rot down this way or that way or whichever way, right? Well, that's something we could have caught and prevented, but if I have to go do those repairs, then I have to pass those costs on to the customer, and nobody likes hearing that, because everybody's like, hey, it's under warranty. Well, yeah, it is if I see it. Now, if you bring it back and it's something that I did, and it was like, hey, that's our bad, and it's already getting damaged, then, we stand behind that for sure. But it's not fair to me to try to, do a repair when it's something I could have caught that was so simple, right? So that's why they need to come back so we can do the inspections on them. We also do transferable warranties. So, if the customer does sell it, but the other person, the customer, would have to come in, we get the paperwork rolling, we do an inspection, and so forth. And I appreciate folks say, hey, that's an awesome roof, it'll never leak. Don't ever think that. Don't ever think that. These are great roofs. They're put together well, but I did not make that membrane. I didn't make any of the pieces here. So I want to make sure everything that I bought and that I purchased is, sound, that is giving you the quality that you paid us to put this roof on with, right? So I don't take anything for granted. I still want to see it. I didn't make the caulking. Who knows? Is that a bad batch? I hope not. It didn't say it on the tube. Was there a fly in the ointment? Is there going to be a recall on it? I don't know, but if there is, I want to catch it before it becomes a problem. So I haven't had those issues, but just because I haven't doesn't mean I don't think that they're possible, right? So, that's why I say come in and have it inspected. You should have the coach inspected anyways annually, the brakes, tires, things like that. Same with your own vehicle. Probably go to the doctor once a year, get a physical, go to the dentist, that type thing. So you're going to need to at least have your coach inspected that way anyways. So if you like the video, hit the like button, and I guess in the algorithms it will, anybody else looking for videos on RV roofs, I guess we pop up from what I understand, but I'm really not into all that stuff. So if you see ads on here, you can click them away. We only post these so we can show the customer all the work we did. So I'm not really trying to be one of these YouTubers making all this big bucks, so they say, right? on YouTube and all that nonsense, where that isn't the scope of our work. You know, I just want to get the video out, get the information out to folks, because there's too many companies out here just snookering people into bad roofs, and then they don't stand behind them, and it's always some other reason of why they can't stand behind it or whatever. But we're not that kind of company. We're not a corporate America company. So, you know, I do every single coach like it's my own coach. So I don't want anybody to rush us. You know, some people say, hey, when can you get me in? When can you? As soon as I get this one done right, as soon as I get this Cougar done correctly, who's ever in line next comes in. That's it. I don't think it's right for me to try to push this guy along because I got somebody bellyaching behind him, right? That's not cool. All right, well, like I said, we appreciate you watching. I think I went over everything. I did show you the 3 colors here. There's our info right there. But then I got the tan, I got the white, and obviously the gray. And then you can see on the back of the air conditioner, I just have those stands that I fabricated up as well. And those just give it some balance. That's all it does. But it still allows the water to get up and around everything. So, other than that, we appreciate you watching. And we'll see you on the next package. Right. So, in our care package, we have caulking. We got primer. We have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do, and it's raining out. Right now it's raining, you're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. What you gonna talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers, fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. I'm Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hey, hey, there it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. It doesn't all sit in there. You can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.